Welcome back, and thank you for choosing my chess videos. I have some very good news for all of you chess enthusiasts of all levels. You may have noticed that my last video had in-depth Chessmaster content, even though my first or second video that talked about Chessmaster, I said that I wasn't going to be able to give you all of it because it took so long. Well, I'll tell you what, here's the good news. I've actually contacted Ubisoft, the people that made Chessmaster. I was talking to their licensing department to ask them exactly that. If I could use their content, especially the Chessmaster's Academy, to make these videos. Well, not only were they okay with it, but they were actually encouraging me to do just that. So, over the course of many future videos, I will be giving you Josh Waitzkin's entire Chess Academy with me at the mouse answering all of Josh's questions. I'll try to keep all the videos under half an hour so as not to bore you from now on. So, oh yeah, in addition, if you're watching this off of my YouTube channel, you'll notice that if you're not, I would suggest, check my channel out if you would please. I reorganized my channel so that you can find these videos easier. I have a playlist which only has 3 videos in it right now, called Chess Academy. So let's get started. And like I said, you're about to learn how to play chess like a master. So I'm going to pause this for a second so I can gather my materials, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the second video left off after the knight forks. So now we're going to start the skewers.
So you've already seen an example of the skewer in the last problem of the fork section. Pins and skewers are both versions of an X-ray attack, where the attacker has 2 defenders piled up in its line of fire. A skewer is more forcing because the more valuable piece is attacked first, and when it moves, the less valuable piece can be captured. For example, take a look at this position. Here, white can play rook h8 check, and when the black king moves to g7, f7, or e7, rook takes a8 wins the queen. This is a decisive skewer. A pin, in contrast, is when the less valuable piece is attacked first, but is pinned to its square because if it moves, the more valuable piece would fall. For example here, the black knight is pinned and can't move, because then the king would come under attack, so black is paralyzed and will lose the knight. It's important to realize that only bishops, rooks, and queens can pin or skewer, because they are the only long-distance operators. Let's start off working on some skewers.
Okay.
It's black to move here. Find the skewer.
Okay. You see it? Black bishop.
That's right. Bishop g2 check skewers the king to the queen. Now it's white to move. Find the skewer.
Okay, now see, some of these, we're going to start getting into a much more in-depth how to play chess, and it's going to get more technical. So these videos, I mean, believe me, this is still the beginning of the course, but you're going to start to see more technical and harder to find moves. So this one here is going to show you, well, the answer, of course, is this rook to here. The reason being because this pawn is going to protect the rook from being captured, and the black really has no choice except to capture the rook, because otherwise it would just lose the other rook outright. So here we go.
Very good. Here white can play rook e3. The rook is defended by the f2 pawn, so after queen takes e3, f takes e3, white has won a queen for a rook. There's no way for the black queen to move to a square that defends her rook, because the a4 square is guarded by the white queen. White to move here. Do you see the skewer?
White to move. Do I see the skewer? Yes. Okay. In these videos, I'm going to try and move a little slow, but maybe I should go a little bit faster to keep the video under a certain time. But I want you to follow the mouse here. You can see the queen, okay, so that you can see where I'm going to be picking it up.
Very good. Queen h6 check. Here you can really see the power of combining the queen's diagonal and horizontal powers. She can slice through the enemy pawn structure to move to the h-file to win the black rook all the way on the a-file. Here black has to decide whether or not to trade queens. Do you see how to set up a skewer? Usually in chess games our opponents don't just serve us up positions where we can use tactics to beat them. We have to prepare them. Take a look. Black to move.
Okay. I'm going to flip the board every time he asks me to move the black pieces. I'll flip it, and when he asks me to move the white pieces, I'll flip it back over again. Okay. Right. So it's black to move, and we have to decide whether or not it'd be a good idea to trade queens. And the answer is yes. The idea is this: there's a rook here, completely free to move, which wants to skewer the king and the rook, but we can't do it right now. First we have to eliminate the queens, because otherwise I'm just going to put the rook there and the queen will just take it.
That's right. It turns out that by trading queens, black can win a rook. After queen takes f5 check, king takes f5, rook f8 check wins a rook. Now that you know about skewers, your alarm bell should always go off when you notice pieces lined up on the same diagonal, rank, or file. This is how the chess intuition works. We learn patterns and then instinctively put them together. This last one is a little tricky. It's okay if you can't get it, but I want you to try for a few minutes. Try to combine some of the ideas we've been talking about. It's white to move here. Any ideas?
Okay. Again, it's not always completely visible. Sometimes you have to set it up. I want you to notice, if you can remember, if you watched the previous video, we talked about forks. Do you notice that you can actually fork the queen and the king here, as he called it, the royal fork, with the knight? But black can capture the knight. But it's okay. Our intention is to move the queen to skewer his queen. But right now there's a pawn in the way. So this will do us no good. So instead, we're going to sacrifice the knight. And black has no choice, really. I mean, he has a choice. He cannot capture the knight. But then I'm just going to capture the queen outright without any compensation whatsoever. So the black's best choice is to at least get a little bit of compensation out of it by capturing the knight.
Well done. Knight e5 check. A great move. You see, white sacrifices with a fork to set up a skewer. The black pawn on d6 defends the e5 square. After d takes e5, now what should white play? Queen d1 check. Wins a queen. You see, if we learn these patterns, forks, skewers, and others, in time our intuition will tell us how to combine them.
Okay. So now we're going to go on to pins.
The pin is seen much more often than the skewer, because weaker pieces tend to be more exposed. Whenever you notice two or more of your opponent's pieces lined up on a rank, file, or diagonal, you should be looking for pins and for skewers. The essential power of this weapon is that it temporarily paralyzes a piece, renders it immobile. For example, in this position, the black knight is defending the black rook, but it is also pinned to the black queen by the white bishop. So after rook takes e4, black can't recapture without losing a queen. Remember, only long-distance operators can pin, so the queen, rook, and bishop are who we have to rely on.
Okay.
How can black use a pin to win the white knight?
How can black use a pin to win the white knight? Do you see it? Especially now that I flipped the board.
Very good. Queen a7. The knight cannot move or be defended, and next it will be captured. Here it's white's move. Do you notice any pins in the position? Well, the white bishop on h4 pins the black knight on f6. Now, how do we take advantage of that?
How do we take advantage of that? I forgot this one. One moment, please. The theme here is to attack the pinned piece. We have a pawn here, not doing much else.
Well done. Here we use the critical idea, attacking the pinned piece. e5 piles up on the paralyzed knight, and black is helpless to defend. Next move, e takes f6 will win a knight for a pawn. Now, if it had been black's move here, he should get the queen out of the pin, a move like queen c7. Liberate the knight. It's white to move here. Use the theme of attacking the pinned piece. Try to calculate both your best moves and black's best defensive tries.
Okay, here, Josh seems to have failed to mention, first we got to create the pin piece. So I'm going to pin black's knight.
Very good. Bishop c4, attacking the knight on d5 and pinning it to the king on g8. Black has to defend with knight f6. What's white's best move now?
Okay, so black defended the piece, and now we attack it. So now we got two.
Well done. Knight f4, piling up on the pinned piece. Black has to defend again, and he can, with rook d8. Now the black d5 knight is attacked by two pieces and defended by two pieces. But white can add more pressure. What's white's best move?
And now we have a better, because we have three pieces that we can attack with, and black only has two because one of his pieces is being attacked. So it's 3 against 2.
Yep, that's it. Rook d1. Now the black d5 knight is dead. There are 3 attackers and only 2 defenders. Black's gonna lose a piece. Before we get to this next exercise, I want to emphasize, once again, the importance of avoiding mechanical thinking in chess. If you just assume, for example, that a pinned piece can't move, then you're asking for trouble. Take a look at this position. Here it's black's move. Your knight is pinned down to the queen by the bishop on g5. And white has just attacked the pinned knight with e5. But it turns out that white is the one who loses a piece. Why? Black to move. Think creatively here.
Now I want you to study this for a minute. I'm going to give you a little bit bigger of a hint than Josh gave you. But he actually has there's a hint button there, as you can see on your right side there, especially if you're watching this in high definition. The idea is that even though the bishop, even though the knight is pinned by the bishop, the knight can be used to attack the king, which white has to move out of. See? So this is going to be not an easy one for black. For have you got it yet? Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one for white is what I meant to say. Okay, I think I gave you long enough, and you can pause the video if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer. Here, I'm going to give you a hint here. Think offensively. Consider all your offensive options. So, it's like football. Offense. Here we go.
Good move. Knight g4 check. Gets out of the pin with tempo. White has to respond to the check. And after the white king gets out of the way, we notice that the black queen has opened up an attack on the white bishop. This is called a discovered attack, and it's another very important tactical device which we'll discuss a little later. But this isn't the only way to get out of a pin at the last minute. Check out the next exercise. White looks like he's in trouble here because the knight on b4 is pinned and attacked by both pawn and bishop. There is no way to defend it sufficiently, and there is no way to move it away with tempo, but white can save himself. Do you see how?
Okay. Let's think about it. Now, he's not going to be able to save the knight. Or he might. Yeah. Absolutely. You ready for this?
Very good. Rook f1 attacks the black queen and liberates the knight from the pin. If black were to take the knight, bishop takes b4. Then after rook takes f8, white has one material, the equivalent of one pawn, because a queen is worth 9 pawns, a rook is worth 5 pawns, and a knight is worth 3 pawns. So rook 5 plus knight 3 equals 8, 9 against 8. So after rook f1, the black queen should move, say queen e7. And after knight d5, the game goes on. White hasn't lost material. Here black's d6 knight is pinned, and white's last move was bishop c5, piling up on the pinned piece. What do you think about this position? Black to move.
Flipping the board. Okay, so it's black to move. What can we do? Okay, this one's actually tricky. There's no immediate protection, so I'm going to move the knight. Black is going to take my rook. White is going to take my rook. But then I have a nasty little surprise left. Are you ready for this? That's right. Now I'm not going to drop this yet so that I can finish saying this. Why am I moving this here? I want you to think about this. Think about the next move ahead. In chess, you need to think ahead, not just one move at a time. So I'm going to give you this hint. Think about the next move ahead. What is black's next move after white rook takes black's rook? Right? And think about the previous lesson about forks.
Good job. Knight e4. And suddenly white's position is falling apart. White's bishop, rook, and queen are all under fire. Do you see how the queen is attacked? That's right. Knight g3 check, forking king and queen is in the air. This is one of those moments in chess when you're caught juggling too many balls, and you just can't keep everything straight. So remember, when we're pinning the opponent, don't blindly trust in the solidity of the pin. Part of the beauty of chess is in its flow and quality. Often the ground, once solid beneath our feet, becomes loose and shifting. We have to keep a flexibility of mind that allows us to flow with the ever-changing conditions. Before moving on, let's look at one more powerful pin. It turns out that in this position, black can use a critical pin to force mate in 3 moves. This one may be a little tough to spot, so take your time and see if you can get it. The theme is the Paralyzed Defender.
Okay, in one of my very first videos, I realized that they were a bit slow and quietly boring. If you haven't seen them, I would, you can go back. But it talks about critical pins. Josh calls it the Paralyzed Defender. Well, I can tell you right now that this pawn that you see the mouse on is the Paralyzed Defender. White cannot move that pawn because this bishop is there and it'll be putting the king in check. Okay? So here's the trick. What do we do to open up the king to attack? Well, there's another sacrifice for you. Here it is.
Very good. Knight f3 check. A really powerful move. Of course, if king h1, then queen h2 and rook h5 are both checkmate. So white has to play g takes f3. It's forced. The Paralyzed Defender is the white pawn on f2, which is pinned to the king by the black bishop on a7. Remember, whenever a piece is pinned to the king, it really can't move at all. Now find mate in 2. Look for the pin.
Okay, so we're obviously still working on that paralyzed piece, that Paralyzed Defender. Now, what do you see? The queen can put the king in check, is that right? Okay, I want you to see this and look at this carefully before I let go of the piece. The reason being because the pawn cannot capture the queen, because it is the Paralyzed Defender, because that pawn, as I said before, cannot move away from the face of the king. Alright, so here it goes.
Good job. Queen g3 check is the hidden weapon. The pawn can't help defend the king because of the pin. White has to play king h1. What's the best move for black now?
Well, I hope you see this. It's a checkmate.
Good move. Rook h5 mate. This last position was an example of the type of combination you really will see in serious chess games. Black had to sacrifice a knight to set up a very, very difficult pin to spot to win the game by force. Once again, I want you to notice the perils of thinking mechanically in chess. I believe this lesson holds true in life as well. It's easy to assume that certain elements of a situation will remain stable, but we have to stay present to the moment for all its evolving subtleties. More technically, returning to chess, people have the habit of assuming that pawns around the king are a fortress. But there are ways to slip through walls in chess. You just saw one of them.
Okay, so I did promise you I was going to keep these videos under 30 minutes. I think I have enough time to give you a hint as to what the next video will be. I'll click the next topic, but I won't continue it. It'll just be to end this video, you get to taste the next subject, and then for the beginning of the next video, I'll start on the same spot. Okay? So let me get to the next topic. Removing the
We saw
defender.
that the pin can be very powerful, both as a way to win material by piling up on the pinned piece, or as a way to attack utilizing the temporary paralysis of a defender. Now we explore the latter theme a little more deeply. In chess, we don't just aim at our goals. Often we want to remove what is preventing us from achieving our goals. Or, more realistically, we aim to remove what is preventing us from preventing our opponent, from preventing us from achieving our goals, and so on.
Okay? This next topic for the next video is going to be removing the defender. All right? I hope you realize now that this Chess Academy by Josh Waitzkin will take the very beginning chess player and really bring you into a much higher level of playing. As far as who's going to learn faster, I can be perfectly honest with you. I'm an older person, and I've been doing this for a while, and I'm learning very, very slowly. Believe it or not, the younger you are, the faster you'll learn this. The reason is because chess is like a language. Have you ever noticed that many multilingual kids, how fluently they speak either language as if it was born to them, because that's the way it was in their house. From childhood, your brain is much more moldable. Your language circuits get developed very early in life. So the younger you are, believe it or not, the faster you will learn how to play this game. I expect some of you out there who don't play as well as I do, after seeing my videos and with the help and the thanks of Ubisoft's Chessmaster, that if I were to play you after a couple months of seeing these videos, I would expect that some of you can beat me. That's how confident I am in this. So without going any further, the video is about 20 minutes long now, so till next time, keep on playing and practice.